Ministers are facing calls to introduce compulsory age checks on small boat arrivals after 15 unaccompanied child migrants in Kent were found to be adults. The county council there says it is so overwhelmed by the number of asylum-seeking children that it has run out of capacity to look after local youngsters. There are claims that people smugglers are now actively briefing migrants to arrive without any official documents and to lie about their age. The local MP for Dover, Natalie Elphick, warned of grown men posing as children in schools and care homes as she urged the government to step up on age checks. It comes as the Home Office warns that Rishi Sunak's asylum crackdown risks increasing the number of unaccompanied children crossing the Channel. The Illegal Migration Act exempts under 18s from deportation and lengthy detention periods. Well, you know, this is a long-term problem. We've all seen these guys turning up on the beach, and ladies, but mainly men. You know, they've kind of got beards and things, and they say they're 14 years old, and they're clearly not. So this is a long-term problem. When they say, oh, there should be age checks on these guys, or these people, as soon as they arrive, well, it's quite hard to do a definitive age check right there and then. Some people do look a lot older than they actually are. Sometimes it's the other way around. But when Kent County Council starts saying, oh, we've been so overwhelmed, we can hardly deal with our own kids, listen to the numbers from January the 22nd until June, January 22, until June 23. So that's quite a long time. There were 23 migrants claiming to be children who were reassessed, and out of them, 15 turned out to be children. So it doesn't seem to be an overwhelming problem for Kent County Council, but the problem of identifying the age of these migrants is one that we're stuck with, and I don't quite see how you solve it.
Well, there has been a suggestion that using X-ray machines and MRI machines, that you can X-ray teeth and bones, and you can tell how old somebody is from that. And apparently it is quite easy to age somebody. But I was reading today that, of course, and this isn't a very me thing today, but you know, all the sort of human rights campaigners have said, well, that's a terrible betrayal of these kids' human rights. I'm like, no, it isn't actually, because if there are genuine kids there that are being besmirched, as Kevin said, somebody who maybe looks older than they are, but actually they're genuinely a kid, actually it's helpful to be able to prove that that person is a kid.
How dangerous is it the other way around? Because you want to make sure that if, you know, these youngsters, if they are genuinely minors, then and they're going to school, but if they're genuinely older and they're being sent to school or they're being sent elsewhere,
let's find out.
You know, there are real problems with that. And I think, you know, as Kevin says, the numbers here are not out of proportion and out of control here. It just raises another problem that needs to be addressed with all of this, and it's a problem that arises when people either tear up or don't have any documents. And I think it's important to make sure that, you know, we've got the checks and balances in place, because there is a duty of care both on the school children and the people who are being mixed with the individuals coming in, and the children themselves who should be treated appropriately. But I think there are a whole range of issues, ranging from, you know, processing and speeds and how we do this, and then also the unintended consequences of bringing in certain kinds of legislation. We hear that Rishi Sunak, the unintended consequence of saying, you know, people are going to be treated in this way, the unintended consequences, suddenly we've got a whole load of people who can't be deported, and therefore people try and break the rules. So I think we just need to be mindful of the rules that we put in place and the problems that it then brings.
Well, with the MRI scans, my issue with that is that it's probably going to cost us a lot more money to do that, and we've already got long waiting lists of people in this country who need. It's
also challengeable. I mean, that any decent immigration lawyer will challenge the results of that. So it's not definitive. So it's an ongoing.
And in terms of the laws, I think now we have proof that people are gaming the system in this way. Maybe there needs to be a law change where we say, if you do come with no papers, then it's automatically you're not coming through, especially if you're going to come with no papers and say that I'm under 16 years old.
But actually, some of the most genuine asylum seekers would naturally have no papers. People who have 100% truthfully run away from a war, they're probably not going to have papers.
Don't start, Kevin. Don't start.
I mean, the real thing for me is that it makes it much more difficult for genuine children who are under 16 who are asylum seekers to be taken seriously and to be looked after properly, and for people to care, because when people are gaming the system, that's all they hear about, and they don't think about the children that come actually that are very vulnerable, that need to be looked after, that have disappeared from hotels. You know, there's some real shocking stories happening, and it disappoints me that there's people out that are gaming the system. Like Kevin said, they're not overwhelming the system, but I hate that it happens in the
May I also,
That's
about the
always
system,
been a
though,
problem with it.
because they say more children might come over. How on earth, or where does the money come from for those children who apparently are unaccompanied and apparently have no one there? Where did they get the however many thousands of pounds, and who's doing that?
Well, yeah, and that's the problem.